Hey everybody, welcome in. Hollywoodpizza here, and we're going to be playing some mono Green Stompy on the Mythic ladder. This was the deck that got me into Mythic this season, and we're just going to showcase a little bit of what the deck can do. So let's go over the deck list real quick before we jump into some games. So to start off with, in our 1-drop slot, we actually have 4 Elvish Mystics and 3 Llanowar Elves. So for 1 green, you get a 1/1 that can tap for a green itself. So essentially, these are going to be some of your best 1-drops early to propel you into some of your 3-drops that actually get you our other late game payoffs that we'll get to in a moment. Our other card here in the 1-drop slot that isn't necessarily a 1-drop, but it can be a lot of the time, is going to be Primal Might. So green X sorcery, target creature control gets +X/+X until end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control, so kind of just like a big fireball effect where you can kind of just dump all your mana, kill something big, and then just deal your opponent a ton of damage on top of that. There's some games where you're just going to play it for 1 green and just kill whatever like lethal threat essentially is going to be on the other side that could potentially snowball on the opponent's side. For our 2-drops, we've got 4 Scavenging Ooze main deck and 4 Werewolf Pack Leader. Scavenging Ooze is great here, where later in the game it just ends up chewing up some of the cards that have hit the graveyard, either from removal spells from the opponent or from blocking on either side, attacks, anything like that. On top of that, it's just really good against decks like Greasefang and Croxes that are just like running around. We have 4 Werewolf Pack Leaders here as well, which is just like a solid 2-drop. Just a 2-mana 3/3. You can play 3 and a colorless, or excuse me, 3 colorless and a green to make it a 5/3 with trample. And yeah, just a really solid card overall. Whenever you attack as well with this, and essentially like total power 6 or greater in a combat, you get to draw a card. So just a really nice little draw engine, and on top of that, it can kind of just deal lots of damage really quickly. For our 3-drops here to start off with, we have Lovestruck Beast, which is pretty much just like a 2-for-1 if you end up using the adventure side. So for 1 green, you get a Heart's Desire. You get to create a 1/1 white human creature token, and on the other side, you get 2 colorless and a green for a 5/5 that can attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. So other 1/1s that we have are going to be Elvish Mystics, Llanowar Elves, and believe it or not, Lair of the Hydra, which is one of our special lands here. We have 2 copies, so for X and a green, this becomes an XX green Hydra creature. X can't be 0, but you can definitely just make it 1 and have that Lovestruck Beast be able to attack. So we also have Ronus the Indomitable, which is just a phenomenal card in this deck. 2 colorless and a green for a 5/5. Death Touch, Indestructible, both kind of ridiculous abilities together. You can't attack or block unless you control a creature power 4 or greater, but you can also give a creature +2/+0 and trample for 2 colorless and a green, so pretty solid card overall. Helps you get to your great henges and just really solid hit off of your collected company. So we have 4 Kazandu Mammoth, 2 green, and a colorless for 3/3 whenever land comes in. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and on top of that, you can play it on the flip side as a land tap. So just a solid card overall. Helps get to your great henges and kind of just a land in between. Or it could just be like a nice big threat that ends up being useful with like Primal Mites and such. For Steel Leaf Champion, just a really phenomenal card in the deck. It's unblockable a lot of the time. So triple green for a 5/4. Can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. Gets through Kiki-Jikis. Gets through the Fable token itself. And kind of just keeps chewing through some cards. On top of that, if you kind of get like a Primal Might or some counters from other cards like the Great Henge, anything like that, Ronus, it can help shut the game pretty quickly. So it's a card that, like all of our 3-drops, essentially dodge Fatal Push. Which is kind of huge in this format right now, I think. And to top off our deck here, we have 4 collected companies, 3 colorless, and a green instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put up 2 creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them on the battlefield. The rest go on the bottom in any order, so just a great card here. Essentially getting to some of your more powerful cards, like the Steel Leafs, the Ronus, even some pack leaders at instant speed at the end of your opponent's turn, just being able to get like a Lovestruck, a Mammoth, Steel Leaf, just any of that stuff just feels really good. So being able to get 2 of those down pretty quickly is fantastic, especially if you get it on turn 3 because of the Mystics, anything like that. Just really solid card that kind of helps the deck go along. And our big drop here, Great Henge. 7 colorless, 2 green. It costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You can tap it to add 2 green and gain 2 life, and then whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it, and you get to draw a card. So essentially, we're trying to hyper the Henge out, get a turbo Henge by getting, one of these elves on turn 1 into one of our 3-drops that are pretty much almost always going to be 5/5s. The Mammoth, you do need a land drop, but most of the time you're going to have it, so it's not really going to be too much of a big deal. And then on turn 3 or 4, you can just get this henge down and then start to kind of go off with just playing creatures normally, or even just getting like a Coco down, getting 2 creatures at once, which is just great. On top of our 2 Lair of the Hydras for special lands, we have 2 Boseijus, which are great against any artifacts, enchantments, or potentially some non-basic lands like creature lands that may be laying around on the opponent's side. And 2 Haship Oasis, which can give +3/+3 by sacking itself, or, you know, if you got the other one down, essentially you're just going to sack one either way. So +3/+3 as a sorcery, not bad, and kind of help finish the game off with like Steel Leaves, or maybe something that has Trample later in the game. 14 Forest to help round out the lands as well. For a sideboard here, we have 3 Heroic Interventions and 2 Shaper Sanctuaries, which essentially help against board wipes on the Heroic Intervention side and targeted removal on the Shaper Sanctuary side. And the Heroic Intervention can do the same against targeted removal, but a little bit more expensive sometimes than like some of the one-drop spells like Snakeskin Veils that you're kind of used to potentially. But the Shaper Sanctuary is still just really good against like the Rakdos type decks. I think both Interventions and Shapers are going to go in against any type of strategy that essentially is going to be trying to kill your creatures. We have 3 Outland Liberators, just a solid card against any type of artifact or enchantment type-based strategy, like Wedding Announcements, Ember Cleaves, anything like that, even like an Unlicensed Hearse that may be getting out of control. Just, you know, Outland Liberator is always going to be there, and just a really solid card. It's really good in the mirror as well against other henges. We also have 2 Cruel Harpooners, which are really, really good against things like Ledger Shredders, Delvers, anything like that. Just a really solid card. 2 mana, 3/2 with reach. And when it comes in, it gets +X/+0, where X is number of creature cards in your graveyard, and then it gets to fight that creature. And it only really targets creatures with flying, but for me, it's been a really, really phenomenal card. Sometimes I almost want like a 3rd, but I think 2 is fine considering we have the 4 Primal Mights main. We also have 2 Unlicensed Hearse here to help against graveyard strategies, so we can just exile 2 cards out of just 1 graveyard, which is great. And on top of that, if it really comes down to it, we can just exile some of our cards too and kind of just get a beefy threat that our opponent can only deal with at instant speed. To round out the sideboard here, we've got 3 Shifting Ceratops against control strategies and Mono Blue Spirits, decks like that. Just an uncountable threat, protection from blue. And then on top of that, you can give it reach if you need to block, trample, or haste if you just need to swing out of the gate. So just a really great card against all kinds of strategies right now. Overall, I think this deck is great, especially if you're just trying to rank up in Mythic. And just on the ladder in general, this is the deck that got me to Mythic. I think it's really good as well for tournaments. I know that for our tournament specifically, there's always like a sea of Rakdos, and I actually think that this is a great choice against the Rakdos decks because you have really powerful threats that get around some of their removal. On top of that, Collected Company is always just like a 2-for-1, so a lot of the time you're just going to get them really good with this card, and considering their deck is just mostly based around 1-for-1s plus some incremental 2-for-1s, the Collected Company plus the Henge are going to be your best friend against those types of decks. Against Control, you've got Collected Companies and the Heroic Interventions out of the sideboard. And you kind of just have like a variety against a lot of different things. On top of that, I think that this deck is great against creature strategies as well. As most of your creatures are pretty big, and as long as you're able to get a pretty decent start, get some pressure going with a Primal Might or 2, you can kind of just like carry the game pretty easily there. So let's go and jump into some games and see how it goes. And let's go and see how this matchup goes. It's going to be on the play here. See if we can keep stomping our way through Mythic here. Gonna play Mystic and pass the turn back. So we have a Steel Leaf Champion potentially on turn 2 here. Can deal quite a bit of damage. Let's go and see what our opponent does here. Potentially tapping out for a creature. Okay, they have a Virtuoso, but we do have a Primal Might here. We're not able to hit our Henge on time, but that's okay. I think I still like the Primal Might here. Plus the Pack Leader, and we can go ahead and come in for 5. And we'll definitely just play this as a tap land, because we can play the Great Henge next turn. And looks like they're going to pass. Let's go and Henge. And then we can play a Pack Leader. 2, draw a card here. And we can play a land. We're definitely coming in for 8. And looks like our opponent's going to go ahead and concede here on game 1. So let's see. Heroic Intervention's okay, especially if they're playing cards like Reckless Rage. Could cut a Llanowar Elf and potentially something like a Ooze for these, just to give us a little bit of some added protection, especially if we end up blocking. Well, let's go and see what we can do here on game 2. Going to be on the draw, and a little bit of a slower hand. We do have Ronus plus some big beefy threats. I think I'll try it out, although I don't feel like it's ideal. Okay, we do have a Henge though, so I think we're definitely pretty happy with that, especially if we can start going off with lots of creatures here. Okay, Virtuoso. I think we just play a pack leader here. And pass turn. Probably play Ronus into Henge. Okay, they just have Portable Hole, so the pack leader's going to go. Do they have a buff spell here for the Virtuoso? Okay, the Anger, that's fine. Going to pump it up to probably 3. So we're going to go down to 14. I think we definitely play... bit unfortunate. Let's go and just play the Lovestruck Beast here. Could have maybe just, like, if this was a Llanowar, maybe just played the Lovestruck and been able to Primal Might, but I think we're just going to have to save the Primal Might for our next turn after we Henge. And I think we block here. If they have some kind of trample effect, I mean, we're just going to take a lot of damage, but if not, we save ourselves a bit of heat here. Okay, so let's play Boseiju, let's Henge. Pretty sure they have a protection spell here. Or they could also be trying to kill the Henge. I think I would rather pass. Let's see what they have here. Maybe a Reckless Rage or 2, but they don't have the double red for it, so can't do that. Maybe just a Defiant Strike end step to pump this up for it to trade with the Lovestruck Beast. Okay, they do have the Reckless Rage. So Virtuoso is up to 3/3. We can still trade with it. Let's see what they got here. We're at 14. We can go up to 16 with the Henge. Okay, gonna give themselves some protection here. Doesn't look like they hit a land yet. They have the Ancestral though. It's pretty much just lethal, I believe. Okay, here's the land. Okay, they do have the Ancestral. So I think that might be it. Yep, that's 14. So any other spell does it here. Do they have another pump spell? Let's see. Okay, Reckless Rage on the Lovestruck. So yeah, we can still block here. I think we actually... Okay, yep, just take all of it. Yeah, completely forgot about the protection there. I was about to say, if we were able to block, obviously we can still survive for another turn and then maybe try to kill it, but I think, yeah, we would have been able to do it, but it would have taken all of our mana. I think we just had to hope for a pretty quick start like we had the first game. Really need some Primal Mites early and often. Okay, gonna play. Don't think we can keep this though. This is a lot better. It's a little bit slower, but if we draw a land, we actually have Lovestruck into Lovestruck, then the Henge, which feels pretty good. Obviously, we really need some lands here and potentially some removal spells later. Ooh, okay, so we do hit the removal spell. I actually think I kind of just like killing this now. Seems a bit weird, but I don't mind it. If we hit a land, we can Love Struck plus the 1/1. That feels pretty good. Okay, another Hoplite, sure. Plus the kill spell on the Mystic, it looks like. Okay. So we do lose some mana here, which is pretty relevant. We'll get 2 1/1s down, but if we don't draw land, looking pretty rough here. Okay, gonna lose some life. And they do have a portable hole for one of the tokens, which is fine. Okay, Legionnaire. Just gonna take the damage now. We do draw a land. I think we still Love Struck here. And then pass turn back. We can probably just block with the 1/1 now. They have 2 cards left. Okay, God's Willing on the 10th District. So we're definitely going to take some damage here. Putting on the bottom, I believe. Yep, and then redrawing. Okay, Lava Runner. That seems fine. And another Lava Runner. I think we're definitely making some blocks here. Blocking here, killing this. Going down to 11. But if this is all that they have... Okay, really hoping to hit a land there, but we did not. So I think we just have to kill the Legion here. And then just pass the turn back. Okay, it's about to say if they attack, then that's fine. Boseiju. We have Henge. So if they have removal for the Henge here, it's a bit rough, but we still have some big creatures we can put down the block. Okay, just a land. And they do have an attack here. Okay, no attack. Let's gain some life. And now we can start drawing some cards. Trying to hit something like a Collected Company. And we do, so let's just play it now. And we do just hit a Love Struck, but does get us a redraw off the Henge, and comes down as a 6 powered and 6 toughness creature. We gotta pass turn though. Do have another redraw with the Love Struck here. Okay, Virtuoso, still pretty dangerous. We're not out of it just yet. Scavenging Ooze pretty good. We have 1 creature. They have 3. Let's play the Ooze first. We'll be able to gain quite a bit of life here. Primal Might's pretty nice. We definitely can just use that on the Virtuoso. I think we just do that for 2 here. Okay, God's Willing. That's fine. They have to use it now. And our card's still going to get bigger. So we can still come in for 8 here, put them down to 10. Play another Love Struck. And get another Collected Company. So looking pretty good here, game 3. We have Collected Company in hand. Our opponent has some creatures on the battlefield, but... Okay, getting some redraws here. And they didn't get to make it bigger from the Connive, so let's see if they do attack. Okay, so they just have some blocks. We're going to go and cast Coco here. Getting a Steel Leaf and a Pack Leader. Getting some redraws, and we still have Scavenging Ooze to gain us a ton of life, but instead we just hit another Collected Company, so let's do that. 2 more Pack Leaders here. Drawing some cards. Got a Llanowar if we can use. I think we're just coming in for 6 here. Okay, our opponent just has nothing right now. I think we just play the Llanowar off and get a redraw. And pass turn back. Opponent at 4 with 2 cards. There is a world where they still kill us with a protection spell, but able to take that match down. Let's see how the rest of our matches go. Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book stores got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey. Stomping our way through Mythic here with mono green. See if we can keep it rolling here. Gonna be on the draw to start the match. I think it's a pretty good hand. We've got a pack leader into Ronus. And then if we draw a 4th land, we definitely got a Coco. If not, then maybe Scoos can eat some casualties left behind from our opponent. And we're going to play Forest here. We draw another Ooze. Okay, looks like we're playing potentially a spell-based tempo deck. They just play Consider. Maybe expecting like a Ledger Shredder here. Yeah, definitely Dimir. They paid the life, so would we rather start off with the Ooze, knowing that they can just shoot down one of our cards? I get a feeling that's actually just like a little bit better. It's still a threat, and if they're playing like a graveyard strategy, we'll be able to eat some of their cards. Okay, Ooze does just resolve because they just cycle one of their lands. And we're at 3 mana here. Let's just come in for 2 damage. Doesn't look like they have any response at all right now. I think I'll go for a pack leader. If they have like a sensor, at least we'll be able to pay for it. We'll get a Mystic. We do have the 4th lane here for the Coco, so going to be able to cast that at some point here. And pretty surprised they went for the Sabotage on the Mystic there. Okay, land drop. They do have an Extinction event, so there go both of our cards. Makes a lot more sense now. I think we Coco and make them have an answer to 2 creatures. And 2 Steel Leafs will do right now. We'll see if our opponent's able to come up to an answer with this. Okay, nothing right now. Let's come in for 10. Get them down to 6. I think I'd rather Ooze. Gives us a little bit more variety in the mana cost, especially if they have like another Extinction event. Okay, Sabotage, that's fine. And yeah, I think I'm just passing here. We have lethal with just one of our creatures. Looks like they're going to cycle. Okay. Gonna cycle the pools. Even if they have 1 removal, we can still get there with the Primal Might. It looks like, yep. Take that first game down. So we're up against control, blue decks. I think we want the Ceratops. Maybe cut a Henge. I'm not sure. Primal Might. They had no creatures. I think we can cut a couple of these. Let's cut 2 Llanowar Elves, or all 3 of these. Bring in the Sanctuaries. Couple interventions we can cut. I think we do cut the Henge because we know that they have board wipes and a Mammoth on the draw. I think that's fine. Probably switch out a Mammoth again for the other Primal Might. I think I like having 2 Primal Mights on the draw just in case they have something sneaky. But also like just having the Fireball effect as well. Just being able to just deal a ton of damage. Fortunately, we draw it early here, but I actually like our hand. I think we got to keep it. Especially if we draw an untapped land, and we actually do, so let's get this Mystic down. Okay, opponent with the Consider. Probably just play the Steel Leaf down again on turn 2. And then kill whatever's in the way if it gets to that point. Could also just have a counter spell. I'd rather they counter the Mammoth if they have a sensor here. Yep. Now we can hold up the Coco if our Mystic survives. If not, we just have a champion. And then we hope for the 4th land. If not, we still have Aronis. So let's go ahead and pass it back to our opponent here. Just gonna say go. So they're gonna do that. I think we just Coco here in response. Fortunately, just a scavenging use at instant speed. Not really anything too impressive here. Big whiff there. Quite a bit unfortunate, but we are missing a lot more creatures than we were before, so could end up being the problem there. Okay. So let's play Boseiju. Don't really have too much going on. I think we still just have to attack with the ooze. Let's play Ronus first. Get a feeling they'd probably just want to counter that anyways. They do not. Let's get the ooze down. Okay, so we still have two creatures of odd and even, but they do have a Shadow's Verdict, so we're just going to lose everything, unfortunately. Let's go on Steel Leaf here. Still have the Primal Might plus a creature land, the Oasis or 2-turn clock. So let's see if they have a removal spell here. I think I'm just going to go for it. They didn't have it last game. Let's see if they don't have it again. Do they have a removal spell? Okay, they just have an Ether Gust. I think we just put that on top. It's a threat. Let's play another land. That way we still have enough mana to make the Lair of the Hydra pretty good here. Yep, gonna try Steel Leaf. See if it resolves. It does. Pass it back. Oh, it's gonna crack Fable Passage. Could mean Fatal Push. Okay, just gonna Deluge. And they're gonna get a reload here in their hand, so they should have an answer for this Steel Leaf, and then we maybe just be heading to game 3 here. If we don't top deck anything like a Collected Company, something like that. Okay, just gonna pass. We hit a Love Struck, which is kind of like a mini Coco. So let's come in for 5, see what they got. Okay, eliminate, that's fine. Let's try to cast Love Struck here, get some board presence with the Heart's Desire. And they may just end up having a counter for that. They do not. Pass it back. Okay, opponent just has a Deluge, so they're getting a lot of cards. And they're digging through their deck for sure. Okay, 6 cards in hand. Cracking the Fable Passage. They have a ton of mana with a Deluge in the graveyard. There's the Fatal Push. And we hit a Pack Leader, which I'm pretty happy about playing here. And I'm definitely attacking. They don't have a creature land or anything. Get them down to 15, that's fine. And they're just going to Deluge, so still digging for lots of cards here. And let's see what they got. Okay, Kalidas, so we still have the Primal Might for that. Even if they kill the Pack Leader. Yep, they are going to get to a Mass though. Pretty big card. Plus a zombie, so now they have a board presence. They're tapped out though, got 1 land. Yeah, let's go ahead and Primal Might. +3/+3, yeah. Gotta go all the way here, considering that we're just not really going to... It's just not really gonna matter. So we got the Kokalitas. Can probably just take the damage here. Could swing in. But then we just lose this anyways to a zombie token. I guess that's like okay. But I still like having the blocker to save ourselves some life here. Probably just take the first hit though, yep. Pretty surprised they're not coming in with the 2/2, but can definitely see them wanting to hold it back. Let's play this. If it resolves, there's quite a lot of cards in the graveyard. I think I'm okay playing the Mystic as well, just another creature. And let's pass it back. Opponent digging for tons of cards here with these deluges. Just able to find the cards that they need. Up to 6 cards here, 7 on their draw step. Let's say they play a land, then they're down to 6, but could still potentially be 4 to 5, or maybe even a full grip of actual spells here. We'll go ahead and just take this. No reason to block. We have an ooze. Can gain us a little bit of some life here. Even if we are breaking even with one of them. Don't see anything there. Yeah, let's make this pretty decently sized. 4/4. Okay, we have a pack leader. I think we just come in with the ooze here. And they have a Noxious Grasp. That's fine. They have a pack leader. They definitely have Field of Ruin as well for our Lair of the Hydra here, so definitely in a very tough situation. We can block the 4/4 if we really wanted to with the pack leader. Okay, they're going to scry. One top, one bottom, so we would guess potentially just an answer for the pack leader. Yep, Soul Shatter. And I think we blocked the 4/4. Can have one more turn of taking a couple points of damage. And we draw a Henge, but we can't cast it. We're not dead yet, though, so let's just pass. We draw a pretty decent-sized creature. Could potentially get the Henge down. But opponent's definitely getting some good scries here. One to the top, one to the bottom. We're just going to take this. Still have a turn. And we just hit a forest, so yeah, let's go and concede. They have a Field of Ruin, so there's no way we're going to block with the Hydra. So didn't really hit the cards we needed. Problem Light was fine, but we were too behind for it to really matter. I think we still keep it like this. Thought about maybe, like I said earlier, the Mammoth for the other Primal Might, but I think we do need both. And we have quite a bit of mana still. This hand's a little bit weak. Need to hit 2 lands, at least 1. I think we're going to have to try it, though. We have the Shaper's Sanctuary to help out. To potentially redraw some cards here. If our 1/1 ends up being targeted. I think we're definitely doing that. Passing it back. So we still have a Primal Might here to trade with something early. That's a problem. If it comes down to it, let's go just Love Struck here. And that passed on through. No counterspell from our opponent. Looking for a land for this Collected Company, or potentially the Shifting Ceratops. Okay, no land, but we're coming in for 6. Unless our opponent has an answer for the Love Struck. Which does give us a redraw. Wouldn't mind that. Or maybe they just target the 1/1. And we do hit the land for the Coco. Ooh, definitely a misclick there for me. I thought we were going through combat there, so I apologize. Okay, let's play the land. Could play Shifting Ceratops. We're just going to pass it back, though. Try to cast this Coco when they tap out for this Deluge. Just 2 champions. That's fine. Could have gotten the Land Award, but I can't turn down 2 5/4s. And they're definitely going to be digging for an answer here, even if they find one. If we top deck a land, we have Ceratops with haste. I think I'd rather still Coco again, so that way we can reload on some other threats. Can also just have the Shadow's Verdict here. Let's see if they do. If not, then we're potentially coming in for a lot of damage next turn. 10 off the Steel Leafs. We also just have some redraws here. From the Sanctuary, it's going to be hard for them to kind of get around here as the game keeps progressing. So it looks like they're just going to pass. I'm going to combat. Attacking with both the champions here. Let's see what they got. Okay, just a Soul Shatter. We'll sack the Lovestruck Beast. And they're going to have another answer here, Rona's. So it's going to go back to our hand. We'll draw a card, sure. We'll hit them for 5. Do we just replay a Steel Leaf? I think we do. I mean, it's one of the best cards we can just hit off the Collected Company anyways. I'd rather just save it for when we really need it. And right now we're still looking pretty good. We've got like a 2-turn clock with both of these Steel Leafs again. So yeah, it just seems like these are kind of just enough for our opponents. So able to take that match down. Just had quite a lot of card advantage there. Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below. And on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you. On the Mythic ladder. Going to be on the play. And a little bit of a weak hand here. We are on the play, but we're up against Yori, and I think I just want something faster. And this is a lot faster. I think we definitely keep this hand. The question is, are they playing portable holes? If they are, then losing one of these Mystics is going to be rough. I think we have to put one back, though. Let's hope that we can top deck a land here. Or our Mystic kind of survives. Okay, Yorian also on the mulligan, double mulligan here. Okay, let's see what they're up to. And yep, we're just going to Mystic here. So they mulligan down to 4. Going to be... I mean, it's going to be pretty good if they have an answer here for the Mystic, and they don't. So we're going to get the Steel Leaf down and then hope to top deck a land for the Coco to essentially seal the deal. At least we hope so. If not, that second Steel Leaf's looking pretty good. And I actually wouldn't mind playing that even if we do draw another land, in all honesty, because once again, it's going to be one of the best things we can hit. So they hit a Lotus Cobra. I think we just want to stop that. And we'll go ahead and come in for 7. Next turn we have a Collected Company, which should be good. Let's see if they hit a 3rd land. And they do not. I mean, our opponent mulliganed to 4. We were just hoping that our hyper-aggressive start was going to be enough for them, and it was. I think we want a couple Ceratops. Probably cut a Landmore Elf here. Maybe an Ooze. I think Ooze is okay. Do we want the Heroic Intervention? I don't think that we do. I think this is fine. We're mostly just trying to end the game as fast as we can against their deck. And let's see if we're able to keep the pressure here. Gonna be on the draw for game 2. And this is a really good hand. We've got a curve, we got removal, and our cards are actually just like really good threats. So we can start off with a Mystic, hit the Mammoth, come in for 5 on turn 3, Or 6 with the Mystic and then still cast the Pack Leader plus have a Primal Might. That seems pretty good. We'll pretty much empty our hand out, but have a really strong start. And pretty much put the pressure on our opponent to do something about it. So let's go and get this Mystic down. Pass turn back. We'll have the Mammoth on turn 2. And let's see if all that they have is just another tap land. They have Cobra. We have Primal Might. We'll just Pack Leader plus Primal Might, which is still a fine play. Obviously, we wouldn't be maximizing our damage with the Mammoth, but that's fine. Okay, opponent, yep. Still has the same start. Lotus Cobra, so I think we definitely have to just Pack Leader plus Primal Might. Just one of the best ways to kind of just like slow them down here. We don't want to give them the opportunity to ramp, so want to use our removal spell quite early there, even though if they get like an Omnath down, obviously our Pack Leader is not really going to be able to attack through it, but I think that's something that we're just going to have to deal with either way. But we do hit another Primal Might, which is fantastic, so let's go and just come in for 4. Opponent's not going to block the Mystic. Probably just have the Omnath here. Let's see if they do. If so, we have quite a bit of damage. Can also just Primal Might for 0 and just kill the Omnath if that's all that they have. So really just hoping to see what they got going on. I'm mostly thinking that to pump the Pack Leader in the same turn. So then we get a redraw, then maybe we try to get the Reef out of there. But it looks like they just have double Reef, which we're pretty happy with here. Okay, they may get another land, which they do. But we have quite a bit of damage. Okay, Goose. Some actual ramp here. Okay, let's play the Forest. And we're swinging out here. Draw a Steel Leaf, which I like a lot. And they may have some blocks here. The food could potentially gain them some life. I do almost want to kill this Gilded Goose, but I think the Steel Leaf and this Mystic is just better. I think we'll just pass. We can pretty much just end the game with the big Steel Leaf if it comes down to that. Hoping to dodge maybe like a fetch land or just multiple elementals in a turn. Okay, so here's the Omnath. Even if we lose the Steel Leaf, Pack Leader could also have Trample, but they did gain some life. There's some mana. So let's see what follow-up spell they have here. Another Primal Might would be pretty nice too, because we have Boseiju as like a backup land play here. And they have 2 mana. That's actual land untapped, plus the 4 floating for 6. So they're going to play an Omnath, which can actually kill the Steel Leaf champion. Okay, and they get some Risen Reef triggers. So we're definitely in some trouble here. Now that they hit both Omnaths. Can still use... Oh, we can still get Pack Leader. Trample. So let's play Boseiju. I think we have to do this for 2. So let's kill their Omnath, at least one of them. They can still gain 3 life as well from the food token, so it's a little bit annoying, or they can make another food token. But we're coming in for damage here. Hoping to redraw yet another fight spell. Or maybe even something like a Collected Company. We didn't hit either. So let's see if we can just deal our opponent tons of damage here. And they're going to block. Feel pretty confident about that. I think maybe we just play the other pack leader here. That's all they really have. Yep. At least with double pack leader, we might be able to just get 2 more draws. That'll be good. Great Henge wouldn't be bad with maybe like a big creature like a 5/5, 5/4, another Steel Leaf. Okay, Lotus Cobra. And a Storm the Festival. Alright, so opponent's going pretty big here. I'll be finding out what they hit. May end up having some decisions. They're definitely going to the tank about it, it looks like. And they hit Cavalier plus a Realm Walker, which is really, really good. So, opponent with some pretty big hits here. I don't know if we really have a way out of this game right now. We're not dead yet, but opponent's just amassing a ton of card advantage. Kind of need to drop our Henge pretty quickly in this matchup, it feels like. Or just have like a game 1 scenario where we kind of just have like a super quick start and they're not really able to do anything about it. So opponent still has some mana left over. They have a Risen Reef, which is going to trigger their other Risen Reefs. So they get 3 triggers here. Doing quite a lot. And they just have a ton of cards in hand. 8 now. Okay, additional land drop here. Outside of the lands they had before. So this is pretty getting pretty out of control here. Yep, gonna crack the fetch. Get yet another land, another green. So they have the 4th Risen Reef. Can't play an Omnath. I guess I can't off the Goose. Okay, a Shaya, it's a 12/12, sure. 20/20. Bunch of triggers here. Opponent's just doing lots of crazy stuff. Pretty big card. 20/20, not bad. Okay. So yeah, just tons of triggers here from the Risen Reef. Opponent was definitely able to go off this game. They are down to 7. We would get 2 redraws, but we'd lose our cards for pretty much no value outside the redraws, and they just have a ton of cards. Yeah, I think let's just move on next game, see if we can just take them down a lot quicker. They definitely just have a ton of stuff going on. Shifting Ceratops, not gonna do it against some of their cards. Trample's nice. Liberator isn't gonna do it. Yeah, I think we just have to go with what we got here. Gotta try to get a Henge down, I think, early so we can kind of just do what they did, which is just amass a huge board really quickly. And I don't know if this hand's gonna do it. Alright, I think this is a lot better. We're gonna have to take the risk here. I think we keep the Ceratops. No, maybe we put it back. We've got Mystic into Ronus into potentially the Henge to Scavenging Ooze. For a redraw, do we keep the Ceratops or the Ooze? I think it's gotta be Ooze, because it's a card we can play right away. Ceratops is expensive and it's not gonna be great against everything. Could end up being Rome, considering we're just going the Henge plan, but we're also not guaranteeing the Henge because we don't have the land. So let's get Ronus down and hope that we top deck our 3rd land here. Mystic also has to survive, and then we can get a pack leader. Start attacking with the Ronus. Okay, Gilded Goose from our opponent here. We hit Collect a Company, so definitely not the card we were looking for. And we're just going to have to pass. So definitely hoping to hit our third land. If not, I think we may end up biting the dust 2 elementals here. Okay, Leafkin Druid. So a bit of a slow start from our opponent. Unfortunately, we're not able to capitalize just yet. Okay, Gilded Goose. And we hit a Steel Leaf Champion, which does let us attack. I think we play it, and we just smash in and draw a card. Okay, no land yet. That's fine. We just have a ton of big creatures on the battlefield. Opponent potentially just going to take this 8 damage here. If not, they're going to have to lose one of their mana creatures and definitely lose some value off of them being able to ramp into something big here. Still probably just cast this Henge. I kind of like the idea of almost just casting the Coco at this point because it gives us more beef on the battlefield potentially. Let's see what we got. And they have a land drop. Wow, okay. Finale Devastation. Pretty good. I'm guessing they just go get Omnath. They probably have a fetch in hand to go off a little bit. We have almost lethal next turn, though. This is 13. Okay, they get that Omnath, so they get to shoot down the Mystic. I think I'm still feeling pretty good about that. Obviously, we don't have lands to play some cards, but I think we're just swinging out here, hoping to draw land, and we do. All right. I like that. So we can't give Trample. They still have some awkward blocks here. Potentially going down to 7, and then we can play Lupstruck Beast. Then maybe have the 1/1 on the following turn from the other Lupstruck Beast to be able to attack. I don't think that we're losing the champion just yet. Opponent can gain some life from the food token, which could end up being huge here. Okay, wow, they end up going down to 4. So let's just make another 5/5. Just a bunch of big bodies on the battlefield here, hoping to smash through. And we also have the 3rd land for the trample for the Ronus. If we draw our 4th land, it's going to be Coco or Henge. Pretty confident about either of those cards. The Scavenging Ooze could potentially gain us some life if it comes down to that. There's 2 creatures in the graveyard. Opponent at 4 life. They've got to do something now, I think. Yep, here comes a land drop, so no Omnath yet. They have 3 cards in hand. At 4 life. Okay, Tangleflorhedron. And potentially putting the Yorion in their hand, which would be pretty good. This Omnath would come back and deal quite a bit of damage. I think they definitely need to act now, though, potentially. We need to have land because then we'll be able to just make a 1/1, attack with everything, and then pump whatever they block, essentially for trample damage. They're at 4. Okay, they're going to go up to 7. And that's almost all the mana they have. They can make a food token off of the lands that they have available. No good attacks. We hit the Boseiju, so could also henge into 1/1, but I think I just like making the 1/1 now and swinging in. Kind of just have to block everything here and lose their whole board. Draw an extra land, which is fine. It's going to be good later. Another Love Struck or even Scavenging Ooze is great here too. So they're actually going to block the Pack Leader, which I find... Okay, yeah, they definitely have to block the Steel Leaf, yep. That makes a lot more sense here. They just have to block everything or they lose. So Steel Leaf. Yeah, I think we just pump up the Love Struck Beast here. Try to deal the most amount of damage we can deal right now. Get our opponent down to 1. And let's pass it back. Okay, Cavalier Thorns. Not going to do it for our opponent. We have a lot more attackers than they have blockers, and we're able to take this match down as well. And we just keep on stomping through. Alright, we're back for the post-game wrap. As you can see, this deck's pretty strong. You can definitely overpower your opponents pretty quickly. And like most aggro decks, if your opponent stumbles, you definitely just run them over very quickly with like Steel Leafs or Pack Leaders. So overall, I think the deck's phenomenal if you want to rank up in Mythic. And like I said earlier, for tournaments as well, I definitely think that this is a deck you'd be wanting to bring to one of our opens. Speaking of tournaments, we actually host 3 a month, which are free to play with cash prizes. There's going to be some links down below in the description for that and my content as well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, like, leave a comment down below. Would be greatly appreciated. And I hope that you stay cheesy.